Okay, so this is a 4th gen 2007 4Runner. The issue that I'm having is when you put it in 4-wheel drive, it engages, you can hear it, and you can tell when you're driving that it's engaged, but it stays in the center differential locked mode, and you can't use 4 low or unlock the center diff, and these lights just blink the whole time. You can get it out of 4-wheel drive just as easily, except you have to turn off the car. So if I switch it back, nothing happens and it'll stay in 4-wheel drive. Turn off the car, turn it back on, you can hear the motor disengage and the lights go off. So what I'm hoping the problem is the 4-wheel drive actuator on the front diff. So I got that part and I'm going to replace it and see if that fixes it. Okay, so I have the car on jack stands. I have the skid plates, both the front and the one behind it, moved out of the way, and I'm starting to take the bolts off that hold that differential actuator on the differential. So I have the old one right here next to the new one, and the reason that I believe my old one failed, and I found this out the other day, so you can see the new one has this vent breather on the motor, which to me is kind of weird, but I would expect it to be. I think there also is one in the diff itself, but anyway, it's kind of weird. The old one, yeah, the inlet isn't even there. And I found that out the other day, that the tube that goes on it, the little rubber hose, was torn right at the inlet. When I played with it and tried to get it back on, that's when I found out that, well, the inlet broke off at that point. But that's also when I discovered that, well, it looks like it had broken off before and been glued on or something. Weird. So I'm guessing water has gotten in this before, water and dirt, and that's what caused its eventual failure. Weird, because it was still able to actually operate and put my car into 4-wheel drive, but some sort of sensor inside of it, I'm guessing, just finally malfunctioned, and it made the computer not know what was going on whenever it was actuated. So hopefully this new one fixes the problem. I got the part installed. Before I installed it with the red RTV, I did a dry fit, which means I just put the part in there, plugged it in, made sure it all fit. Always like to do that before installing it the final time. Then I took it back out and I put the red RTV onto the surface of the housing before installing it. One difficult thing I do want to say is the directions tell you that both surfaces should be dry and free of all debris. Of course, I cleaned it off with a razor and wiped it down and everything. But I noticed that when I went to put the housing onto the differential, as soon as you touch kind of the inside of that differential housing, oil does start to drip down. And although I totally wiped it dry just before I mated the part up against it, I did notice that once I actually, as soon as I mated the two surfaces, I did see some oil drip down right here. So I'm hoping that that doesn't ruin the whole gasket seal. I did as the directions said and finger tightened these bolts until RTV starts to come out of the seams. Really what I did is I just finger tightened them as much as I could without using any sort of wrench or leverage. You can see they're pretty tight. I couldn't finger tighten them anymore, so hopefully that is right. You wait 1 hour before actually tightening them down to spec, and then after that you wait another 24 hours before actually driving the car. So I will come back in an hour, retighten those bolts, wait until tomorrow, and then come back, and once I get it put together, I can take it for a drive tomorrow, and crossing my fingers, really hoping that that fixes that issue with the four-wheel drive. Okay, I have some really exciting news. Got done with the changing the actuator on the front diff and tested it out, and everything works just like normal. Okay, put it in four-wheel drive. Here we go. Turn it in two-wheel drive. And that's it. That's the most flawless that it's ever worked in this car since I've owned it. And boy, I'm so glad that it fixed that. That was a fix, because I was so worried that it would be something more. And when I first, truth be told, when I first put the part on and started up the car and put it into four-wheel drive, it wasn't working right away. And then after I tightened down everything, put the RTV on and everything, and filled it with fluid, went back and tried it again. And at first, the green four-wheel drive light on the dash, that top one, was solid, and then the yellow one with the lock symbol was flashing. And then finally I got it to work just by trying it a couple times, and now it just works normally. So if anyone out there has that same problem where the four-wheel drive lights are blinking constantly when you try to use it, and it goes into four-wheel drive but the computer doesn't know it's in four-wheel drive, then definitely try that front actuator, replace that. It's only about $200 if you get it on Amazon. That's about $400, I think, if you get it at like a local parts store. So check Amazon for it. I think it's Dorman part number 400 dash, wait a minute, I'm going to mess that up. 400-688. Anyway, I'll put it in the video notes, and a link to the Amazon page. So thanks for watching.